Hello, I am here with a review of Now is the Hour by Tom Spanbauer. In case you're wondering, I am in my grandparents' basement because it's nice and cool down here. You can see my grandfather's book collection, part of it, behind me. But this novel was published in 2006. I read it earlier in the week, and I very much enjoyed it, and I've been looking forward to filming my review of this. So I actually heard about this novel through Strip Coverlet's channel. Adrian mentioned it in a video, I can't remember which video, and I'm not about to go through all their videos to remember exactly which one, but it begins with a 17-year-old, and he is hitchhiking along the highway in the early morning, and he is headed to San Francisco. And the bulk of the novel is his memories about his life growing up. The character's full name is Rigby John Klusner. For the purposes of this review, I'm just going to refer to him as Rigby, and Rigby views the world in a very detailed way. Spanbauer writes this character so that he notices every little thing. We get sense, we get smell, we get taste. One of the first things we're presented with is Parmesan. Parmesan appears at the dinner table at a friend's house when he's a boy, and he's never encountered Parmesan before, and he finds it absolutely disgusting, and he refuses to eat it. This is the only time we actually see Parmesan in the novel, but for whatever reason, Rigby says that Parmesan begins his problems, ends his problems. I suppose if I did a detailed analysis, I could figure out what exactly he means by Parmesan, whether it's supposed to represent something, or whether Parmesan is just the slightly incoherent ramblings of a nervous and excited teenager who has just left home for the first time. It's hard to tell, but Parmesan definitely sticks with you throughout the novel. And then one of my favorite recurring references, The Wizard of Oz. He sees The Wizard of Oz as a child, and he is awed by the moment when it turns from black and white to color, and he uses that as kind of a metaphor for many things in his life. We get moments in his life such as a young boy playing dress-up, putting on a dress with his mother and sister, being afraid of his father. We have him hauling hay as a young man, getting to know some Mexican boys that his father doesn't want him to associate with, getting to know George, an Indian who lives nearby, also who his father doesn't want him to associate with. His father's very racist. He, of course, comes to rebel against that and to reject that. We have him meeting his first girlfriend, meeting George. This is definitely a literary novel. Spanbauer kind of jam-packs a lot of different themes into it. We have racism, we have sexual orientation, we have parent-child relationships, we have religion. Religion is a very big theme in this novel. Rigby is rebelling against the very strict Catholic upbringing he's had. He was the good Catholic boy, the boy who would go to confession, the boy who would win the contest and bring home the blessed rosary beads for his mother. But as he reaches his teenage years, as we see him in the bulk of this novel, he is no longer that boy. He is rejecting the way that his parents have lived. He is rejecting that religious piety of his mother. He is rejecting the religion that he believes is the only reason his parents stayed together for so long. He believes that they would have divorced if not for Catholicism being against divorce. As Rigby explores his sexuality as he grows up, he rejects this religion, he rejects the conservative views of his family, he rejects the racism of his father, and he begins to explore for himself and replace the strictness, replace the coldness that he feels in his family with love elsewhere, love towards his friends, towards lovers. His rejection of religion is very evident. Just a few pages into the novel, you have one of my favorite scenes, one that made me laugh a bit. I chuckled at this. Kind of nervous to read this one out loud, being that I'm in my grandparents' basement. He's sitting down to his last meal, his last dinner with his family. He's recalling this, and he is recalling the thoughts that came into his head as he sat there. This is page 15. That's when I said it inside my head. Fuck. And fuck was the most perfect way to say what I needed to say. The fucking bright overhead light, the fucking yellow chairs, and the fucking oil tablecloth, with the fucking tulips on it, and the fucking 4 pieces of roast beef, and the fucking green bowl of mashed fucking potatoes, the fucking blue bowl of canned fucking peas, the orange fucking gravy boat, and the fucking bread plate, the fucking butter plate, the fucking Heinz 57 ketchup, and the fucking milk cans of salt and pepper. My fucking sis with her stupid fucking hairdo and fucking swooped glasses and her stupid fucking black eye. My fucking father with his fucking lava soap and fucking red line across his fucking forehead, his fucking Levi's shirt, and his fucking superior hippie communist queer less salt than thou fucking attitude. Come Sunday, him either in his brown fucking tweed suit and his brown tie, or his blue fucking tweed suit and his blue tie, sticking up the fucking inside of the Buick and the whole fucking inside of St. Joseph's Church with his overdose of old fucking spice. My fucking mother with her fucking bobby pins and her fucking eyebrow pencil, her fucking red cherries lipstick on Sunday morning with her hair fluffed out, in one of her 3 Sunday dresses, the blue fucking flowered one, the navy blue fucking polka dot one, or the fucking brown one with the beads along the scooped collar, her fucking dark seam nylons trying to hide her fucking varicose veins, on her head some goofy looking hat with fucking nets and feathers in it. That moment, at the table at supper in the kitchen under the bright overhead light, fuck is the perfect way to fucking say it. That moment, me fucking me. I was sitting in the yellow fucking chair, my feet on the blue and white kitchen tiles, shoving a piece of fucking buttered Wonder Bread into my mouth. And that silence, that dread quiet of a fucking silence that hangs over the table, over our family, hangs over our fucking lives, the holy fucking ghost. The silence so loud against my eardrums, since my eardrums realized they could hear. Bless us, O fucking Lord, and these thy fucking gifts, which we are about to fucking receive from thy fucking bounty. Through Christ our fucking Lord, a fucking men. Fuck. The pavement is hot and soft on the back of my head, hot through my t-shirt and my cut-off Levi's, hot on my bare calves. I just yelled fuck so long and hard I had to lie down. I have never read anything like that, and I have to say I quite enjoyed reading that each time I've read that scene. I was kind of puzzled, though, as I came to the end of the novel. Rigby begins to use a phrase, something along the lines of, I loved God so much at that moment. And I had to ask myself if he is indeed rejecting religion, rejecting the way he's been brought up. Why is he saying this? This sounds like a very conservative thing to say. I asked myself, is this sarcasm? What does he mean by this? Then I decided that I needed to turn to someone who has read this book, someone who might know what the hell he means by that. So naturally, I messaged Adrian Fort from Cover Lit on Twitter, because that man knows almost everything about every book he has ever read, I'm sure. But he had a good response from me. He said, when you strike down a god of hatred and contempt, you erect a god of love. Which makes a lot of sense. If Rigby is replacing the religion that he's had most of his life with love, then this phrase makes sense. God is no longer God, but God is possibly literally love. So what he's saying is he loves love. And if Rigby is replacing the religion he's grown up with this new idea of love as a religion, then suddenly a lot of things that I noticed in the novel, that I enjoyed in the novel, get a little bit of extra meaning to them. For example, the passage I read for you, fuck is obviously a curse word, but perhaps in this sense, he's not just using it as a curse word. Perhaps he's using it in relation to love. Maybe he is indeed using it to refer to love in its many forms, including sexual love. The novel as a whole, I think, is definitely about love. I noticed this as I read throughout. You have self-love, you have platonic love, you have sexual love. I think you eventually have romantic love, although that could be debated. The novel is about his discovery of love, his discovery of this new religion, about his pursuit of this. He leaves town. He's headed to San Francisco. It's San Francisco, 1967. He's headed there for the event known as the Summer of Love. He is literally attracted to and pursuing the idea of love. Spanbauer even quotes the famous song related to the San Francisco Summer of Love, and I was singing it in my head the entire time I was reading this. Forgive my poor singing, but if you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear some flowers in your hair. And he even puts that flower in Rigby's hair. I have to wonder though what becomes of Rigby. This is not your happily ever after ending. This is not even an ending. This is an uncertain beginning. This is a 17-year-old, a teenager, headed off on the road alone, without very much money, and sorry, spoiler, but this is a 17-year-old headed off with a man who I think is said to be about 30. He set out on his own, but now what? How does this end? Can this even end well? This is not a beginning, this is the edge of a cliff. Overall though, I love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. On Goodreads, I greatly enjoyed it. It is something that I will probably reread at some point. I would encourage you to check it out. This is Now is the Hour by Tom Spanbauer. Also, I really love this color. This is my kind of color scheme.